Hola, bon dia. Carl Munson here with the Good Morning Portugal show from expatsportugal.com. How are you today? Wow. Everything I've tried to do this morning, I've been a little bit delayed. Time seems to be moving twice as fast. It's been quite an incredible morning, I have to tell you. So I'm glad you're here. I'm glad I'm here finally. And good morning to you, Joel in Porto. How are you doing? It'd be great to hear how everybody is this morning. And as I put on the show notes as well, how are you doing in the continued state of emergency? I'll tell you more about this on this segunda-feira, what is it? 7 de dezembro, 2020, as we head towards the most unusual of Christmases as well. Do you want to tell me how you'll be celebrating your Christmas this year? Will it be, well, it will be different, won't it? No doubt about that. But how do you intend to capitalize on the differences and not struggle too much with some of the imposed restrictions? So do let me know about that. Do let me know how you're doing today. Did you drink too much port on Friday night and have a hangover all weekend? Or was that just me? I don't know if it was the port or not, but I did have I didn't have a duvet day. I had a duvet weekend, I'll be honest with you. And I did a kind of, man flu kind of vibe. Got grumpy, stayed on the sofa, and I did a few bits and pieces in the garden. Actually, I needed to get some fresh air from time to time. But I have to say, I've never felt so old and achy in all of my life. So I need to know from you as well how you're dealing with that. I know some of you expats are knocking on a bit, and you say, yes, old age never comes alone. I mean, I don't see myself or any of you as old people, but how should we best look after ourselves as we begin to age? And I saw that. I mean, we're always aging, aren't we? That is part and parcel of the human experience. But I imagine that's been a bit of a dawning realization for not just me, but a few expats. You come to Portugal and it's all upside and, honeymoon ideas. And then you get a creaky knee or an achy ankle or something like that, or your teeth start playing up or whatever, or your eyes are, my eyes are going a bit. It's probably staring into these screens all day long. How are you coping and dealing with that? Gary says, no, you can never take the mickey out of me for being late again. Did I say I was late? I said I was delayed. But yeah, you're right, Gary. Honestly, well, I just been confounded from every direction this morning. But we're here now. We're gonna have a chat this morning and take it easy and welcome this new weekend on this segunda-feira, 7 de dezembro 2020. Feliz segunda-feira to you. Do some yoga. Yes, do some. Yes, I see what you mean. That's not, like not now, not right now. But yes, this is how to stay flexible, isn't it? And we talked about this with Aoife the other day, didn't we? The Art of Unwinding. And I've got to get that book. I thought I was going to get that book for my missus. It's for me, really. But aren't all the best Christmas presents like that? You think, oh, that'd be nice for someone else, but it's actually for you if they live in the same household. So the Art of Unwinding for me. And yes, I will do some yoga. I'll come back to all your other comments as well after we've had a quick look at the weather. I feel better already hanging out with you guys. It's so great. 14 degrees centigrade, mostly cloudy in Lisbon at the moment, but still rain. I tell you, rain as far as the eye can see. Oh no, there's a let up on Sunday of this coming Sunday. 16 degrees is the high today, but rain forecast for the capital for the rest of the week, quite frankly. And let's go to Porto. Porto, similar. Yeah, exactly the same. Rain forecast all week, folks. State of emergency, lockdown, curfew, and you got to stay inside because it's raining as well. You don't have to, do you? It's quite nice to get outside and get some rain on your face from time to time. But it doesn't help, does it, to have straight days of rain? Who am I to contend with the creator and challenge the weather? But I mean, really, state of emergency, lockdown and curfew and all the rest of it, and rain, go away for 6 days. That's quite something for us to put up with. 12 degrees, possible drizzle today, 13 the high. Yes, one extra degree to look forward to. God, I'm a proper Grinch this morning, aren't I? Coimbra, 12 degrees and overcast, 14 to look forward to, and another 6 days of straight rain forecast. So I mean, all the people who aren't in Portugal watching this morning thinking, ha, 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 ha. There's one day that Munson and all his pals of Good Morning Portugal aren't bragging about the weather. We got the best rain. We got the best rain. We do the best rain. 12 degrees. I've not finished yet with that, Gary. 12 degrees and overcast in Coimbra, then 14 degrees the high. But the same, 6 straight days of rain forecast. Let's see if it's any different in Faro. Yes, it is, of course, different in Faro. 19 degrees, those rascals are getting down there today. 15 at the moment, mostly cloudy. That's the picture for the next 3 days. And then Thursday and Friday, you're going to get a bit of rain down there. But it looks like you're going to have a lovely day for Saturday to open the weekend. So there you go. There's your weather. Not much to write home about, literally. So let's have a look at a few of your comments. Said hi to Joel up in Porto. Good morning, everyone from Gemini. How you doing? Paul Williams, hola, bon dia from a cool Cabanas de Taverna this morning down there in the south. Bon dia from Nick Steinman. Hiya, Nick. Cold weather in Porto is the report. They're loving the actual first-person weather in your own experience, because we can't always trust these weather forecasts, can we? Best thing is to stick your head out the window. But bon dia, Carl and Toros from Druba. Great to hear you're recovering well there, Druba, in Sintra. Don't forget, he's got a lovely Airbnb there. Very good value, and you hang out with a wonderful Nepalese family and enjoy Nepalese culture and cooking there whilst in Portugal. It's a treat within a treat. Hola, bon dia from Owen. Hello, Owen. How are you? Great to hear from you. How's your weather in your part of the world? For me, will be the same as other holidays, alone with my parents. Okay, Joel in Porto, that's his Christmas plan this year. I think it's going to be the same for a lot of people. Bon dia. No, the port thing was not just you. Oh dear, Will, you again, eh? And not just Friday either. It's a terrible habit to get into. Do you know, this is the one, if I'm allowed to, I don't know what broadcasting conventions I work under here on the internet, but look, this is the said libation. What's the difference between a libation? Anyway, it's a said libation. This is white Porto. And those guys on the cover there, you think this is Velhote, I think is old guy, it means old gentleman, something like that. Those guys on there are only in their 20s, but they drink white port every day. And that's what happens to you, folks. If you drink white port every day, you end up looking like that, even though you maybe only be 20 or 30. Good heavens. Yes, thank you, Natasha Singh. Great advice. Do some yoga. While I was sat on the sofa, feeling sorry for myself, actually cheered myself up with the most beautiful animation, The Man Who Planted Trees, because that is my aspiration in life. I saw that 30 years ago, and it still means a lot to me. Still weeping away I was on the sofa, inspired by the Jean Giono story of Elzéar Bouvier. Amazing story. I watched that. But I was also scheming on the sofa there, thinking, I can't feel like this for the rest of my life. I've got to do something about this. So yeah, I was thinking of all sorts of regenerative approaches to my health and well-being. And you can't take it for granted, can you? I mean, that's the thing. I think I've taken good health and vitality for granted. And you know, part of the expat journey, of course, is you do face a few stresses and twists and turns in the journey. It takes it out of you. So you've got to look after yourself, and probably a bit more than you ordinarily would. What? No ladders or scaffolding? And here we go. And you're going on about your aches and pains. Come on now, says Gary. Look, Gary, we know that Terence did most of it. And then you went up to the top and painted the little, is it called the finial, and claimed all the glory. Come on, man. You're not going to pull the wool over our eyes like that. But no, fair play to you, Gary. Yes. You a manful effort on 3 stories of painting. So yeah, no wonder you did ache and pain a bit, quite rightly so. And yes, I do feel a little bit more well disposed to you than I was thinking before on Friday. So there you go. So I'm sorry. We are here from the UK to get residence. Yay! Always happy to welcome people into the country. We are here from the UK to get residency. Off to finalise our bank account today. Now we have our NIF. Yes, today I believe everything's open. You tell me on this. Bank holiday tomorrow. We will look at the festival of the Immaculate Conception, because I think that's quite a office holidays seems to be doing it for me at the moment, to tell me what's going on in Portugal. There must be a better guide to this than officeholidays.com, but no disrespect to them. They are keeping me informed about the significance of holidays in Portugal, or have done for the last 2 or 3 anyway. So we'll talk about Immaculate Conception Day, which may challenge some of your preconceptions, misconceptions about the holiday. But that's tomorrow, I believe, usually celebrated on the 8th of December. But let's find out if that's true. I mean, everything's upside down at the moment. Yeah, I think it is. The Portugal one is tomorrow, but Safira Joel will tell us if it's today or tomorrow. But I'm going to give you the information as to why the holiday is celebrated anyway. That's after we've had a look at more of your comments, and of course looked at what the Prime Minister has to say about the Christmas concessions, and of course the if we can find it, the president as well talking about the state of emergency, extended state of emergency. Yes, I have got both of those to update you with. So I think that's a pretty good window, Deborah. Careful tomorrow. You probably won't be able to get to many shops tomorrow. Off to finalize our bank account today. Then now we have our NIF number. Yay! I need a NIF number. Definitely need a NIF number jingle. What do we play when someone gets a NIF number? I don't know. Nothing springs immediately to mind. Maybe you can help me with that. Drove from the UK over the weekend via Santander. Roads totally deserted. It's happening, says Deborah, on official business here in Portugal. Hola, bon dia from a cold dank. It's degenerated to dank. What a word that is. Dank Cotswolds this morning for Jeff and the Leyland gang. Looking forward to 24th flight and car booked. Yes, on that's a bit of a Chris Rea moment for you, isn't it? Driving home to your spiritual home for Christmas, perhaps, might I say. I watched the first part of The Man Cave, so I am aware. Oh, yeah. Okay. Sorry. That'll teach us to say things that are immortalized on YouTube. Ooh. Frank, we might have an incident. Bon dia, definitely a bit chilly today from Doti Bandida. What a lovely name. Doti Bandida is here, everybody. Good morning, Portugal, from Pakistan this morning, from Tony at NGS this morning. Good morning, Tony. And yes, sorry to hear of the news in your family there. Love to you, mate. And to you and yours. Still trying to decide whether to come for Christmas or not. Emergency, etc. from Chris. Well, I can't tell you what to do, but yes, it would be my answer. All right, Gary. God, scaffolding doesn't build itself. Bitter, Gary? What? I finished the very same port this weekend. I must say, I'm the same colour, lol. Nice one, Owen. But yes. You have a timeless youthfulness to you, which I don't suspect will be at all affected by drinking white port. A nice one, Owen. Bon dia, Carl. Wish this rented house had insulation. Now, there's a thing we need to talk about. Portugal, what's going on? What is going on with houses in winter here in Portugal? Come on. We'll picture that scene, Kathleen. We'll expand that a little bit because we do need a little bit of something or other here, don't we? With how it is that people, the expats, are freezing in Portuguese homes. They don't tell you about that. And I wouldn't normally, but I've got to tell you for your own good, basically. So we wish this rented house had insulation, says Kathleen, an air heat exchanger powered central heating system and solar panels connected to a power storage battery. Why build new houses and not install? Kathleen, not a happy bunny and very chilly. Which part of Portugal is that, Kathleen? It's a religious holiday celebrating the Virgin Mary, Mother of Jesus, of course. But I think it's tomorrow is the actual celebration, right, Joel? We'll find out more about that, and we'll moan more about cold Portuguese houses in just a while. Bon dia all from Alcobaça. Sun is above the clouds. That's a nice outlook on life generally, Michelle, I beg your pardon. The sun is always above the clouds, isn't it? We need to remember that, even if we're going to moan about the housing and how cold they are here in Portugal. And we're even going to moan about the restrictions. We always know the sun, as Michelle says here, is above the clouds. Fantastic. And a bon dia to you in Alcobaça, beautiful part of Portugal. Tony saying thanks so much. No, not at all, Tony. Thoughts are with you, mate, at a difficult time for you and your family. Okay, let's then look at Marcelo. If I may be so familiar with the president as to call him Marcelo, and let's get this picture on the screen. Actually, before I do, I need to say thank you to Julie Marsh, who provided the lovely starter screen. Let me show you this beautiful screen. It cuts the sound off mercifully for some, I have to say, when I do this. But look at this beautiful snow-capped mountain range from Julie in for now on your. That is the view from Julie's kitchen window, I believe, there in Fundão. Thank you so much for that, Julie. A beautiful picture. And congratulations, of course, to you and the family on the arrival of the little one there. Fabulous news. Absolutely beautiful. And what a little beauty that baby is. So congratulations to the whole Marsh family on that fantastic news there. So let's get Marcelo onto the screen, talk about state of emergency this morning. It's already, see, I'm looking at the time. It's already 9:30, but I was delayed for 15 minutes. So we're all right. We're all right. Bear with me on this. What else you got to do? I mean, we're all, it's not, we're all twiddling our thumbs a little bit here, aren't we? I think. But I do appreciate you choosing me to twiddle your thumbs with. Marcelo expected to extend Portugal's state of emergency. This goes back to I'm reading a really old story here, but it will give you a little bit of background. This before the weekend, of course. Marcelo will be addressing the nation, and he did at 8 p.m. On the 4th, and everything points to an extension on January the 7th, which it has, which has now extended the state of emergency. I mean, how long has this state of emergency been going on for, I wonder? But it goes on now, I believe, till the 23rd of December. They are renewed on a fortnightly basis. But with Christmas and New Year on the horizon, all parties have agreed or did agree that it made most logistical sense. That's not to say that all parties would agree with the state of emergency. Far from it. In the last vote in Parliament, only PS and PSD were in favour. Bloco de Esquerda, CDS-PP and PAN abstained. These are all political parties that Joel told us about in the Man Cave one evening. PCP Chega and Iniciativa Liberal voted against the state of emergency, but knowing they will be outnumbered, the parties have accepted that a state of emergency extension may as well straddle the festive period when Parliament won't be sitting to further voting. Oh, I see. We're not going to be. Oh, all right. Just let it carry on. Okay, so yes, that's happened. The president did extend. I was hoping to share a more recent story about that with you, but anyway, you get the gist. State of emergency has been extended since the end of last week through to the 23rd of December. That only begins the festive period. Perhaps they've done some sort of extra extension on there. We will come back. We will come back to that. We need to look actually at the PM's views on. I'm all over the place this morning. Let's face it. I am all over the place this morning. It's official. I'm trying to find the story of Mr. Costa's views on a message. Oh, here we go. Christmas concessions. PM lays out Portugal festive season, which sounds like he's punched it squarely in the face, doesn't it? He's laid it out with a major proviso, which could also be a kind of punch, couldn't it? Take this major proviso, Christmas, in your face from the PM. And this was from Saturday. Prime Minister Antonio Costa, thank you, Natasha Don, in the Portugal resident, for this. He addressed the nation at 3 o'clock on Saturday, outlining all the measures that should be enforced over Christmas and the New Year. So here we go. With one major proviso. There will be a new meeting on December the 18th to reevaluate the situation. Maybe that's because all the politicians will be off, as I mentioned just now. If the epidemiological picture, you think when you're in a state of emergency that Parliament wouldn't stop. You know, life goes on for many people, doesn't it? And with the pandemic, and life goes on very badly for a lot of people during the pandemic. And it looks to me like the politicians are taking time off, even though it's a state of emergency. That doesn't have a good ring to it to me. I mean, they have to do what they want to do, obviously. But if I were their advisor, if I were their comms advisor, I would be saying, please work through Christmas. It's the least you can do. Obviously have a break on Christmas Day and be with your family, celebrate. You don't be entirely selfless, because you've got to celebrate Christmas and be with your families at some point. But to stop Parliament over Christmas doesn't seem a good move to me. And that is just my personal view. There will be a new meeting on December the 18th to reevaluate the situation. If the epidemiological picture has taken a turn for the worse, the relaxation designed to give families the semblance of a normal festive season may have to be tightened. Blimey, it's like moment by moment stuff, isn't it? So, yes, you can have a more relaxed Christmas in Portugal, probably. But not if the so I guess what the government's doing here possibly is putting it in the hands of the people, right? Go with the measures, and then hopefully the numbers won't be terrifying on the 18th, and the relaxed Christmas can take place. That's the proviso, right? But for the time being, with the evolution of the pandemic nationally showing significant positive signs, these are the measures as it stands. Until December the 23rd, everything stays the same, meaning restrictions in the boroughs deemed extremely high risk and very high risk continue, i.e. weekend lockdowns, restaurants unable to function as normal, as do the national nighttime curfews from 11 till 5 in the morning. On Wednesday, December the 23rd, Thursday, Christmas Eve, Friday, Christmas Day, and Thursday, December the 31st, New Year's Eve, all boroughs in the country will be treated the same. For the days over the Christmas period, people living within them will be allowed to move freely across the country. There you go. That is quite a change, isn't it? Unless, of course, on the 18th it's decided that the restrictions do need to be tightened because of a rise in infections and, of course, threats to hospital provision and treatment. So that some people will have just found out through me saying that New Year's Eve is on a Thursday and Christmas Day is on the Friday. Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve ordinarily might be Good Morning Portugal wine club evenings. We will have a toast with people. We're working on it, but I think it seems only right with a lot of people in lockdown and having possibly more isolation than they've ever experienced. We'll have a little toast, and I will be doing a Christmas morning show. Okay, so that just so you know, on Christmas morning we will probably 10 o'clock, and we'll give everyone a chance to say hello and wish festive greetings to people. You know, you get your family to tune in if they're elsewhere in the world and you've not been able to see them this year. Why not get them to tune in, and you can send them a message via the comments, or even come on a screen with me, come and join me and send a message to your loved ones elsewhere in the world. Anyway, back to the situation for Christmas in Portugal, re the pandemic and the measures. On the night of Christmas Eve, the nighttime curfews will extend to 2 a.m., giving people time to go to mass. All those drunkards pretending to go to mass and staying out till 2 a.m., I suspect. On the night of Christmas Day, nighttime curfew will also be extended to 2 a.m. This is goodwill, isn't it? This is definitely goodwill. On the night of Boxing Day 26th, the nighttime curfew will go back to 11 p.m. For restaurants across the country, the nights of Christmas Eve and Christmas Day can see them all operating until 1 a.m. On Boxing Day, all restaurants are allowed to serve lunches until 3:30 p.m. That is probably a nice Portuguese tradition, right? To go to a restaurant and have lunch. I think I'm gonna instate that in the Munson household. That sounds lovely. We'll go to our local and have a Boxing Day lunch. The plan is then for the country to return to the various measures running under the state of emergency until New Year's Eve. That's after Boxing Day. On New Year's Eve, every borough in the country will be back in borough lockdown, meaning residents cannot move outside their home borough. Okay, so it's just for Christmas. The lockdown will last until 5 a.m. on Monday, January the 4th. The night of New Year's Eve will allow for people to be out of their homes until 2 a.m., although groups in the open streets will have to be limited to 6 people. There will be no public parties or public celebrations of any kind. It's DIY, folks. Restaurants on the night of New Year's Eve will be allowed to operate until 1 a.m. On the following day, they will be allowed to serve lunches until 3:30 p.m. I realize now that I should have put this on the screen. Let me do that. Let me get this out for you so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here and give you a rest from my baggy, tired face. But beyond these concessions, the country will have to continue adhering to all measures in place until the current state of emergency comes to a close on January the 7th. So it looks as though we've gone for a double state of emergency, right? So it's been approved twice, if you like, in those 14-day blocks. All this being said, the PM's message began with hope. The epidemiological situation is improving. Measures brought in under the state of emergency tie in with the overall improvement, he stressed. Thus, the reason behind the government's action feels they must be kept in place to continue the improvement. Numbers of people being treated for COVID-19 people are dropping, but Mr. Costa said they are still extremely high and the number of deaths is very high. The good news, however, is that 27 boroughs have dropped from very high risk to moderate. Portugal's RT number, denoting rate of transmission, is also down to below 1 now at 0.96, a major step in controlling the evolution of the pandemic. The PM's announcement hit an uncomfortable moment where 2 images came up on a screen behind him, showing a family around a Christmas table under the headline, "A Christmas with Care." One image was in color, the other with a green light showing the breath emitted by the various people around the table. Oh dear. At this point, the PM talked about the danger of droplets hanging in the air. Happy Christmas, everybody, with droplets hanging in the air. And the risk of, it's not sleigh bells, the sound of sleigh bells in the air, it's droplets hanging in the air. And at the risk of generally of being around a table with family members or indeed anyone else, if one of the people involved was infected. His appeal continued that people, even with the relaxation of measures, should avoid mixing with a lot of other people, avoid long periods without wearing a mask, and avoid close spaces that don't have good air circulation. We'll come back to that in a minute. In terms of, heating old Portuguese houses. There was no image, happily, of a family around a table wearing masks, which the initial images seemed to threaten might be coming. I mean, maybe they're in the crackers. You get a nice little Chinese folded up paper mask instead of a paper hat inside the cracker. Christmas is about sharing. Concluded the Prime Minister that we have to ensure that we do not share the virus. Nice one. Clearly, he does have a comms department. As such, there is no limit to the number of people who can gather around the Christmas table. The government is simply trusting citizens to decide for themselves what is safe. And I like that. I really do. I mean, in many ways, what I like about the Portuguese approach thus far is that, they've had to impose restrictions and be seen to be doing something and are doing something. And it feels a bit like, they're saying, okay, it's over to you. You want a freer Christmas. We've told you how it is. This is how we think you should do it, and let's see what happens until then. Perhaps, I don't know. Tell me what you think. In one way, the Prime Minister's choice of attire for his announcement mirrored the government's rather lopsided approach. He was wearing a shirt, tie, and blazer, which looked like a suit when in close-up, but it wasn't a suit. He was wearing jeans. Resident expats have consistently wondered why journalists listening to these briefings never ask why the measures in place apply to only to residents. Tourists, admittedly, only the very few who are here are not bound by any of the restrictions. That is interesting, isn't it? Indeed, they are being told by the police and other authorities that they can do whatever they like in terms of moving around. They are not checked on arrival in Portugal, nor are they required to provide negative COVID tests. Said one reader in an email today, "We just had enough now. The government must either get completely tough with everybody and lock the entire country down with closed borders for a full 3 weeks, or they must end this nonsense." What on earth do they think they're achieving with this half-assed job? I thought they had more common sense than this. Meantime, thanks, Natasha. Meantime, the virus headlines continue, seemingly always concentrating on the worst aspects. 73 deaths when this was posted. This was when was it? The 5th. This was a Saturday. So yeah, Natasha saying there, there's always a concentration on the worst aspects. 73 deaths when every day in Portugal, an average of 250 to 300 people die, and the number of new cases flagged 6,097 with PCR tests that are known to be fallible. I think we're getting a feeling of where Natasha lies on this. The positive points of Portugal's numbers today are that there are 66, this was Saturday, 66 less people in hospital than they were on Friday. And the number of recoveries, 6,165, has exceeded the number of new cases. Okay. The number of recoveries has exceeded the number of new cases. Fantastic news. Excellent. Thank you, Natasha. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with me whilst reading that. I think that may have been useful. So let's go back to complaining about Portuguese houses in Christmas. Shall we? Or just the winter generally. What else was? Oh, and let's do the Immaculate Conception before we start moaning. Of course, in Portugal, it will be celebrated tomorrow, as far as I'm aware, and from the information I have. And I guess the whole sort of 5-day lockdown weekend included the holiday tomorrow. So let me just tell you about the festival of the Immaculate Conception Day. You would be forgiven for thinking, of course, that shall I put this on the screen for you? Yes, I will. And whilst I'm doing that, I'm gonna have a sip of tea. Having a kip of tea, Gary. Wasn't it fantastic when Philomena on Friday had a little go at speaking Brummie and Geordie? I think her efforts with Geordie were a little bit better, man, than they were with the Kipatoy, Geordie Kipatoy. I think it came out as Kipato, which could get you in all sorts of trouble in the restaurant. When is the Immaculate Conception? Any Christian holiday that takes place in December is always in the shadow of Christmas Day, so say officeholidays.com. It's therefore surprising to see how many countries observe this particular holiday. On December the 8th, many countries, including Argentina, Austria, Chile, Colombia, Italy, Malta, Portugal, and Spain, celebrate the feast of the Immaculate Conception with a public holiday. Joel, how should we celebrate? I'm still here, 9:45. We'll probably go through till 10 o'clock. All right, everybody, we were delayed this morning. In the Philippines, for example, 2017, President is that right? Duterte, isn't it? I didn't think that's right. Duterte, anyway, signed a law that declared the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception on December the 8th as a national holiday in recognition of the Filipino strong devotion to the Blessed Virgin Mary. This has now become a special working day. That's not a holiday. It's calling it a special working day. Anyway, how do we celebrate, Joel, in Portugal? What would be the correct observation of this particular festival? This day is also a holiday in Panama, who celebrate Mother's Day with a public holiday on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. That's a good idea. Guam also observe a public holiday to venerate a statue of Mary on December the 8th. Now, here's the background. History of the Immaculate Conception. It is a day that celebrates the belief that Mary, mother of Jesus, was preserved from original sin all her life. For Roman Catholics, it is observed as a day of obligation with required church attendance. So that'll be part of it tomorrow, going to church. The Immaculate Conception is a day whose meaning is often confused. By the sounds of it, one would think we could celebrate the day Jesus was conceived. So, but of course, if you do your math, as the Americans say, he couldn't have been. Well, I suppose anything's possible, given that we're talking about miracles here. But it doesn't add up on a rational mathematical basis to be conceived on the 7th and then born on the 25th, right? On the contrary, it is the day that the Blessed Mother Mary, was conceived herself. This day, the 8th of December. Mary's mother was St. Anne, and her father was Joachim. While they are not mentioned in the Bible, their names appear in some early Christian texts. Anne and Joachim had been a childless couple until an angel appeared, telling Anne that she would give birth to a child that the world would honor. Anne became a saint as she offered her child to God's service. This day has been celebrated since at least the 8th century, everybody, and carries on here in Portugal. But the idea that the word immaculate means that Mary was born without original sin divided many theological scholars over the centuries. Of course it did. It wasn't until 1854 that the argument was decided, when Pope Pius IX proclaimed that this belief was to be an essential dogma of the Roman Catholic Church. So there you go, the Immaculate Conception Festival. So stop chuntering, all you lot who might be complaining about religion. You're getting a public holiday tomorrow. Although, you know, as I said before, tomorrow for many of us looks a lot like today, yesterday, 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago. What a time. What a time we're living in. Joel, back now. Let's finish with a good old moan, shall we, about how cold it is in Portuguese houses. Because here, the electricity is a monopoly from EDP. I tell you what, I better be getting a Christmas card from EDP this year. The amount of gold one, actually, the amount of money I paid EDP over the last 12 months, they should be I don't know. Yeah, I want it hand delivered from the blooming director. Even if one chooses to go out of the grid, they will try to pull you into a contract. Yeah. So there you go. It's cold and it's expensive. But we're going to find a silver lining in this, folks, because as Michelle said before, the sun is always above the clouds. May be appropriate to mention the latest conspiracy theory about to unfold. It's going to be totally orcs, everybody. Anyone reading about Synced In 1 yet? That sounds synced in. Sounds like a prank of some sort, but I'm sure it's not if Will's telling us that. Keep your eye open for Synced In 1. Will knows about these things, everybody. Also, the prices being the highest in percentage to the rest of Europe. So be careful of that. I'm not trying to put you off coming to Portugal. And also, you would think me a fool if I only ever talked about good things about Portugal. Great thing is the many wonderful and beautiful and excellent things about Portugal far outweigh all the difficult things about Portugal. And we're discussing a couple of them this morning. Excuse me a minute. Let me just have a sip of my tea. Oh my God, that's good. So yes, high prices of I was going to say petrol, of electricity here in Portugal compared to the rest of Europe. Keeping warm in a cold and windy Castanheira de Pera by having the wood cook stove on and wondering what to cook for lunch on or in it. We're doing the same. A wood burning stove is a really good friend at the moment in the colder, damper time of the year here in Portugal. I have a theory, actually, that Portuguese people pretty much go into a state of hibernation. And it would appear like the older folks wear coats, outdoor clothes, inside the house and outside the house, go into a state of hibernation and slight denial about how cold and wet it is and damp it is, and then just go into that state of hibernation. They've got Christmas, obviously. They've got maybe have the wood burner and the fire on, eat hearty foods and soup. Soup, obviously, a vital part of Portuguese culture, and then just sit it out until the spring shows its face. And that can happen quite early. It will get warmer, obviously, and bluer and brighter. I would say, February time. You're going to see signs of that in February. But until then, hibernation and denial are the way forward, folks. We're in Leiria district. No excuse for not installing low-cost carbon heating / cooling systems nowadays. Gee, not happy about this. Once installed, no further energy cost to pay and year-round comfort. Well, hopefully, Kathleen, what you say will be taken on board. I think absolutely about but I suppose the people will say this is consumer driven. And it puts a cost on housing that people don't want to pay because they don't understand it in the way you do, Kathleen. But I'm completely with you. Michelle Stevenson, Save Communities page on Facebook, published Christmas concessions. Bottom line can move a bit if you like. Bottom line, you can move a bit if you like over Christmas. Thank you for that distillation of the Christmas concessions there, Michelle. Wonderful. And of course, yes, Safe Communities Portugal doing a fantastic job and a much more factual job than I'm ever capable of doing. I can't help but inject a little bit of personal opinion in. Safe Communities do it in a much better factual way. I can't grumble too much because Terence might have an arty tantrum and not do the mural. But next time I go to his, I'm putting one of his 3 Barcelos in my case. All right, Gary. We'll give you a Barcelo on Friday. Frank, make a note. We need to honour Gary. He's not feeling good about this. Red Port hangover is much worse if it's any consolation. I can't imagine, Gary, really. You said you felt like you'd been sat on an elephant for 2 days. I either had that or something else with the old geezer White Port, but no Queen's speech. But we got Don Carlos. That's funny. I'm not sure what you mean there. No Queen's speech, but we got Don Carlos. That's funny. Tell me more. More DIY. No, he's had enough DIY. I meant DIY in terms of, I can't remember what I said, but I didn't mean it in that context, Gary. Stand down. What wines do you recommend for Christmas, Carl? Oh, what a great question. Not doing turkey Peru as had it for Thanksgiving, of course, Kathleen. Thinking of making coq au vin or roast beef or roast Portuguese potatoes. All right, my top 3 regions for wine, having tasted a few now in the Portugal Good Morning Portugal Wine Club, would be Douro, Alentejo, and Barrada. If you want something robust to go with a roast beef, a Barrada would be fantastic. But you're going to do well with Alentejo, with Douro. Now you're here in Portugal, and don't be put off by the prices. If you go and see an Alentejo, a Douro, or a Barrada, and you're thinking, hold on a minute, €5 seems a bit cheap for wine. It must be rubbish. Au contraire, to go with your coq au vin, I have to say. Please think again. Get 2 at 5. 10 euros worth of a very good wine you can find. But then again, if you do spend 10 or 15, you're going to get something probably very special. Gary, what was that treat you had? I think a 20 or 15 euro red over the weekend, possibly from the Alentejo. Please give Kathleen that recommendation. So there you go. Douro, Alentejo, Barrada. You can't really go wrong, Kathleen. Have a super Christmas. We're gonna be wishing each other a happy Christmas, aren't we? A bit early for my liking, but we are posting up Christmas pictures at expatsportugal.com. I put a forum listing. Please send your pictures of your towns. That is one way of feeling festive in Portugal. Go to town. Restrictions notwithstanding, of course, take some photos and post them up for us in the forum there. I'm looking forward to going to Anadia. They've done us proud in Anadia. There's one particular little lane with these twinkly gold medallions up in there. It appeals to the medallion man in me. And they twinkle when the wind blows a little bit. I'm going to get some video of those, I think, and post it up and in Expats Portugal Forum. And I urge you to do the same. I don't celebrate it. Well, Joel, thank you for that. Hold on. How can Mary conceive on the 8th of December? No, I've covered that, Michelle. I've covered that. Guess anything goes if it's immaculate and miraculous. I did say that too, Michelle. You're absolutely right. No, it's celebrating the Mary, not Jesus, on this occasion, as we will do tomorrow in this country. Hey, Safara, Portugal is in the EU, and you can buy an air heat exchanger anywhere in the EU and install it. They can't legally stop you. Get in. Go on, Kathleen, pushing the point of the air heat exchangers. We need to learn more about that, don't we? Yes, you see, there you go. Laura's doing it in true Portuguese style. Hibernation for the nation in Portugal for Laura. So wrap up, wear outdoor clothes, indoors and out, get the fire on, and just hope that the skies will get bluer and the sun will be felt as warmer in only a few weeks. If you change it from months to weeks, I think that sounds a bit better, doesn't it? Just a few weeks away, it'll be spring. Kat, you do have also local businesses that do sell them. Older houses usually don't do it, so common to use a heater. Besides, we get used to having a thick skin. You have to develop a thick skin in Portugal as well. There you go. What's the typical cost per kilowatt here? 20, 30 centimes. I don't know, Will, actually. I just know it is eye-watering when the bill comes. Bon dia from Mr. Alentejo himself. Well, I'm sure Kathleen will recommend an Alentejo red to you. Oh, I see King Carl. So it won't. Oh, I get you now, Cap. I like the sound of that. We won't be having a Queen speech. We're having a Don Carlos instead. I promise not to do a speech on Christmas Day. Although, I mean, I can end up sounding like I do a speech every day, don't I, on this? Anyway, I won't be too pompous or sanctimonious. Less than normal. That's the best promise I can make. I'm looking forward to that Christmas Day special. Yeah, everyone, if you want to send a message to your family abroad, if you can't get to see them this year, even if you're abroad and you want to send a message to someone in Portugal, it can all be done on the Good Morning Portugal show on Christmas Day from around 10 o'clock. And I'll make sure I don't drink too much port on Christmas Eve. I will be cooking up an Italian spread this Christmas. That sounds nice, Laura. Bon dia, Portugal from Kez Cracknell. And the price per kilowatt, bon dia, my dear. Sean Maguire's here is only 15. Actually, take it to a few decimal points. 0.1511, recurring, no doubt. The price of a kilowatt here. Doesn't that change depending on what tariff you're on as well? Little bit of information for you about Portuguese electricity. The other thing, of course, you might notice if you're in Portugal this year and you decide to put 10 heaters on and then turn on your oven and maybe dry your hair, you're going to blow the fuses. You're probably going to blow the fuses after the third heater. And you can change the rating of the current coming into the house. Okay. So I was in a house where if we put too many lights on, it blew the fuse board, I think. You can have the rating coming into the house changed. Okay. So that you organize with the supplier and they will uprate it, which I think that it obviously makes it more expensive, kind of whichever way you look at it, but you can do it if you get fed up with this blowing of fuses thing. It's a climate emergency, Safara. Time to think differently about heating and cooling technology. No reason to pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere anymore. Well said, Kathleen. But as long as we have market forces chipping away at one angle, whilst the people are all up for like having measures that address the climate emergency, it's going to be tricky, isn't it? But I agree with you, Kathleen. Kez, I'm still in shorts and flip-flops. Quite right, Kez. In Portugal, good man. I am assuming man. Which one of you is it in the profile pic there? Gary Austin, you can always keep warm by setting fire to your car, like Joel did in his photo. That's pretty extreme, Gary, but it's an option. Bon dia from Jani in Belgium. 0.284 euros per kilowatt in Belgium. 0.215 in Portugal. Or have I got this all wrong? But and in the UK, 0.212. We don't do euros in the UK. I say they now. Yeah, there you go. There's a price comparison from Jani. So Portugal, a little bit more expensive, probably with the conversion she's done there, but even more expensive in Belgium. That's one way of dealing with the climate emergency, isn't it? Make electricity so expensive that people don't use it. Kat, it also depends on every household budget. Some can afford it, many can't. Absolutely, Joel. And that's the problem here. That's the problem. Night rate is 0.095. So actually hibernation then is quite a good idea. Go to sleep all day and then work at night whilst electricity is 0.0958 would be one possible and ridiculous strategy. You're welcome. Okay, so let's leave it there today. That was a whole lot more informative than I could have ever hoped for. So thank you, everybody. All of you who've remained tuned in this morning. How are we doing here? We've got different gangs who watch. On Expats Portugal on Facebook, 14. On the Good Morning Portugal page, 18. And on Expats Portugal, the YouTube channel, 18,000, of course. But interesting how a lot of people are liking the fact that we're going out live on YouTube, which is great. And thank you, says Laura. I'd give my right arm for a Christmas pud, says Wayne Barker. Careful what you wish for. Might have to resort to attempt a homemade one. Could get messy. Hi, everyone. Wayne, let me tell you, if it's anything like the Bolloré, do not put a sixpence in your Christmas pudding. Otherwise, you might get a visit from the European Union commissioners telling you that is now illegal. Okay, it's been banned in Portugal. And if it's good enough for EU Portugal, it's good enough for you and your Christmas pudding. I think you can probably put a fava bean in as a little nod to the Bolloré tradition. Ciao, ciao from Laura. And a smile from Anna Rita Vieira. Good morning to you, Anna. And we're going to do your Christmas quiz. We're gonna do that again on the morning show here. Love your Christmas quiz. We'll do that as we're in the run up to Christmas. And cheers all, saúde, and chin chin, and cheers to you all. Abrazos, beijinhos, hasta logo, ciao ciao, and we'll see you tonight on the Portugal show, where probably we will have a nice leisurely chat. I might even do it from under my duvet tonight. Take care. Bye for now.